As an education major, you're going to encounter lots of things that are important in the classroom. One of the most important ideas that you're going to encounter is the elements of effective instruction. So what I have for you is 7 different elements, which I think are absolutely critical for effective teaching. My first element is your objectives or your rationale, which in my lesson plans are separate from the SOLs. They're clearly stated, and objectives are crucial because they provide a written example of an achievable goal for your students to reach. My second element is the hook or the focus activity, which usually in my lesson plans will be a music video or an interactive activity, something that gets my students focused and ready to learn, which is crucial because you don't want your students to be thinking about a million other things. You want them to be present, you want them to be in your classroom and ready to learn and move on to the main activity. My third element is the modeling, scaffolding, or guided practice. I usually use the whiteboard or I'll ask questions. I want to encourage my students to think deeply about the content that I'm providing for them, but I don't want to go out of their zone of proximity. So it's crucial to have a little bit of guided practice so that you don't leave your students on an island alone. Expect something too high of them because they're learning just like you're learning how to teach them. My fourth element is the main activity or the application of knowledge. In my classrooms, it's very interactive. I like games. I like when my students can create something such as a rap song or an acronym. I really encourage verbal communication, especially because my class is a foreign language class, so it's essential that my students are speaking in the target language, but writing is also essential for them to do well in the classroom. This is crucial in my classroom because it provides information for me to know where the students are with the content without having them feel the pressure of a formal assessment, which leads me to my 5th point, assessment. So there are 4 general types of assessment: formative, summative, informal, and formal. I prefer informal assessment, and it's usually part of my main activity. So I'm able to see kind of how they're doing in terms of their understanding of the language or the understanding of the main topic without having them freak out at all because they have no idea that I'm even assessing them. I prefer not to use tests for my summative assessments because I personally am not a great test taker, and so I don't feel it's fair for me to expect that of my students to be good test takers. So my summative assessments are usually projects or activities that encourage my students to use their strengths to show me what they know. My 6th element is teacher and student reflection, both of which are extremely important. Teacher reflection is when you take the time to sit back and think about whether or not your lesson was as effective as you wanted it to be. Ask yourself questions like, was this what I imagined my lesson to be? Did the students enjoy it? Did they learn? Because this is going to help you continue to be a great teacher for this class as well as the classes in the future. And then student reflection in my classroom is usually a closing statement sheet. So my students not only tell me what they feel they learned or what they did or did not understand, but they're also able to tell me what they enjoyed about the class period, what they may not have enjoyed about the class period, so that I can further tweak my lessons so that every student is having the greatest educational experience possible. My final element you will not find in your lesson plans, but it's essential to have a successful classroom, which is teacher charisma or enthusiasm. You want your students to be excited about what you're teaching. You are probably excited about your teaching because you're fascinated by the content, but not all of your students may be. And from what I've learned, your students are never going to give 100% if you don't. So the trick is that you need to give 150% in every lesson that you teach so that your students reach 100%. And this is crucial in a classroom to make sure that everybody is not only enjoying the content, but successful in their learning experience.